All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Holistic Horseworks Live. My name is Lisa, and I'm here with April Love, and we're so glad that you're joining us today. This show is all about giving you solutions for keeping your horses healthy, sound, and rideable into their 30s. We'll get to watch as April uses her intuitive abilities to scan horses and reveal what's really going on. You'll see her identify misalignments, pain points, and the root causes behind behavioral and health issues, things that often get missed by traditional approaches. We'll be taking questions throughout the show, so drop your questions in the Q&A feature or in the chat at the bottom of the Zoom screen as we go, and April will do her best to answer as many as she can at the end of the show. Make sure you do stay tuned to the end because we have a lot of free resources to share and a special offer just for the viewers. So, okay, let me introduce you to the person we're really here to see today, April Love, the founder of Holistic Horseworks. April, for those who might be new, would you tell us a little bit about your experience and Holistic Horseworks? I am going to unmute you. There, you can unmute yourself. There you go.
Hey everyone, we are so glad that you are here today. And we have two horses, one in Australia and one in Michigan. And everything about me is on my website, HolisticHorseWorks.com. And I hate watching webinars where they just talk about themselves and they don't jump into it. So we're going to jump right into it with Marilyn and her horse. She's going to be taking the level 1, 2, and 3 class in Australia. And this is her horse, Joe. So we're going to be going over issues that Joe's having and what I see.
Hi, everybody.
Lisa, I need the Joe picture bigger to be the main picture. There we go.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
do you want to tell us a little bit about Joe?
Joe's 10-year-old quarter horse. He's in bad shape. I actually met Joe when I went to a friend's place and we went riding up in the mountains and they put me on Joe and I could see he was really bad. And so I offered to buy him and they said I could. So I brought him home and I've just been trying to deal with all his issues ever since. He's a really good horse. He's now decided he won't pick up his back legs. He was always funny with them, but now he doesn't want to pick them up at all. And yeah, he's had some issues in the back end. Looks like he's broken a bit off his pelvis bone. Yeah, when I first got him, you couldn't even touch him on the face or anything. So he's a lot better, but he just keeps going straight back to, I get him going good and around the head, and then he just goes straight back to being touchy again. So I need him to get fixed once and for all.
And you're going to be learning that in the level 3 cranial decompression class with Marissa Levin in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really looking forward to that. He really needs that.
Yeah, so everyone, Marilyn and I had a little chat and I kind of pointed out some things on her horse a couple days ago. And Lisa's going to bring up some pictures with lines and arrows that we're going to talk about. First, yeah, let's do the pictures first and then we'll do the video on the horse second. So do you have those ready, Lisa?
Yes, let me pull them up now. And I'm going to have to start a screen share, so give me just a few moments.
These horses is what always learns and teaches us about what we don't know. So, and what I found while Lisa's doing that is since we've had the knotted rope halters and the patience poles, there's more damage done to the horse's heads when a young horse pulls back when tied. So these are the hooves. In my 4th book, What I See When I See a Horse, when I go to do an evaluation and work on a horse, the first thing I look at it is the hooves and then the rest of the body. So you guys can raise your hand or just put something in the chat box, which is probably better, about this is not bad farrier work. What do you think this is? So Lisa, can you see my cursor move?
No, I can't see yours. Can you see mine?
Yes. Okay. So looking at the what would be the horse's left front foot with these two arrows, you can kind of see where this toe is going to the outside. The other hoof, Lisa.
This one.
Yeah,
Okay.
his left front. Okay, so he's going to be jamming and loading on the inside heel. And this is kind of like if someone wore your everyday walking, hiking shoes and dragged on the inside of the sole so that when you got in it, your ankles dropped and your knee is dropped, it's going to start creating arthritic issues higher up. So if we're looking at the shape of the hoof and the toe pointing out and this medial flare pointing out, where you see this big arrow out here, he can't even break over. This is like being in a shoe too long for you, and he's not breaking over straight. And if we go up to the fetlock joint, you'll see a little bit of arthritis starting on the inside of the fetlock joint. Okay, you need to be able to, even with people, when your foot is hitting the ground, look down when you're walking, when you're climbing stairs, when you're standing, your toes should be under your knee. If your toes are out, your T-band is too tight, and you're going to have ankle issues, knee issues, and hip issues. So the doctors that are replacing knees and hips aren't looking at how people are standing. So, but what this shows me is on his left front, the sternum and pectorals are too tight. So it's pulling and having that left front leg jam and load the inside, and then the pressure is making the hoof go to the outside. For those of you that know a little bit about hooves, you'll see that little stress marked by this outside arrow where there's pressure. Okay, so this is going to start side bone and ring bone sooner on in the horse because the hoof and the fetlock and the knee are not able to load straight, but it still comes from higher up in the body with pectorals and sternum that needs unwinding. And so this horse might be a little bit cinchy, girthy, as the ribs and pectorals, sternum are not quite in alignment. You can see his right front foot is a little bit better than the left front. And as you know, horses work a diagonal. So when we go to the hind feet over here, this picture on the right, you'll see, I always tell people, your farrier and trimmer cut and shape the front. They're like, oh yeah, those feet look really good, but go squat down behind your horse at a safe distance and look at the heel bulbs and the whole hoof from the rear. You're going to see how they're jamming and loading. So his left hind is a little bit dropped on the outside and his right hind is a little bit dropped on the inside. So I would be following that up in my level 2 class, and we look for the tight muscles, the groin issues, a little bit higher than the heel bulbs. You'll see some calcification starting. So he's got more side bone and ring bone on his right hind foot. But on the left hind foot, you can see the higher hoof wall. So you see where that hairline is. I wish I could move my cursor, Lisa. How do I do that? So that they
I
can
think it's
see.
because I'm sharing my screen. See, do you have an
Okay.
annotate option at the bottom of your screen in the Zoom toolbar? You might
Can you
have,
see this pencil?
yes. Yeah, I see that.
Okay, that'll help. Can it, so you can see this pencil going up and down?
I saw it a second ago. I see click. Can you draw with it?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I see it looks like you're making
Oh,
mark. There
yay,
you go.
technology.
There you go.
Okay, so you're going to have a little bit more arthritis up in here because again, the hoof isn't landing balanced. More arthritis out here. On the front, more arthritis here, here, and here. So this is the side bone, which is down here on the coronary band. Ring bone is higher up. And the vets don't quite know what to do about it. We have a sweat that we do that helps to decrease the side bone calcifications. But first, you have to get the horse's body loading the hoof correctly and breaking over on the hoof correctly. So can we go to the next slide? Okay, so same horse. Oh, those circles stayed. Left hind.
Let me see if I can erase them for you.
That's okay. Left hind right here, more arthritis on this fetlock joint is a lot bigger than this right hind. And you can see again the rear hooves way out of balance where I have the yellow arrows.
Okay, is that
And
good?
let's go to the head or the next slide. Have to erase all the little things. So Joe would present as a downhill horse, even though he's fully grown. The top of the scapula, I'm going to do a little circle right here. Okay, when you see the top of the scapula and the withers, there should be a 1 to 2 inch gap. The wither should be that much taller. So muscles pull bone. This horse would be really heavy on the forend. He's overusing neck and shoulder muscles to try and bring the shoulder forward. The compensation is going to be coming from the hind end. The psoas goes into spasm. That's going to pull the hips out. And your kissing spine is going to be either in the withers or in the lumbar area 90% of the time. And that's all muscle pulling. So if you've watched my program at all, first rib compensation, which is way here under the point of the shoulder, most equine body workers are not addressing the first rib because it's so deep under the shoulder that nobody knows how to release it. It's not like a rib's poking out. It's just in a way that the shoulder can't come through forward correctly. And in the past 7 to 8 years, before that, it used to only be on one side, and now it's being on both sides. So we're seeing more kissing spine prevalent, and people are just doing surgeries and cutting it out when it's actually muscle is pulling bone too close together. So first rib misalignment on both sides is going to give you that heavy on the forehand horse. It's going to give you a little bit of the U-neck horse because he's not lifting and using his front end correctly. The neck's going to kind of shorten as the rhomboids and trapezius are having to pick up and move the scapula forward. And in my level 1 class, we teach you how to release the first rib. And first rib is out in all foals by 6 months of age. We just have minerally deficient horses with all the stuff the brood mares are getting and all the farmers not being able to grow real organic hay anymore. So he's not really a downhill horse. The withers are just too tight into the shoulder, but it all is starting with the first rib. So heavy on the forehand horse, if you're in training, the person's going to use the bit to say, get light on the front end, come back to the hind end. And that's when we put the psoas in spasm, and that's what pulls the hips out. He also has a sore SI joint, which is why he wouldn't want to pick up hind legs because it hurts to stand on the other leg. Both pictures, he doesn't want to stand square on the hind end. So, following that up, you've got a lot of soreness up in here in the croup area and deep under. If people don't know where the SI joint is, the needle would be about 6 inches long that a vet would use to inject the SI joint. In level 2 class, we actually work on what to do for the SI joint to make it better. For right now, I've talked to Marilyn, whenever you pick up the hind feet, you have to just leave it right there on the toe. You can't pick it up and out. You have to leave it right there on the toe and just along the ground, bring it slowly back to cross the other hind leg, and then the horse can tolerate standing there for a while. What they can't tolerate is bringing the hind leg up and out to the side like we do for our backs when we're cleaning hooves or the farrier trimmer is working on the hind feet. The horse will shake its leg like, let go, I'm in pain, and the farriers grip on tighter because they think the horse is kicking at them. Sometimes people actually reprimand the horse. If you stand behind that horse, when someone's trying to pick up that leg, you'll see the other leg go into spasm like a big earthquake. So I've seen people sedating horses, roping hind legs, trying to work on all this when really we just need to get in there and work on the psoas side joint. And we do that in my level 2 class. When the horse starts standing square, the hooves grow down correctly to balance and keep all the body work in alignment. So if you want to erase those, Lisa, and then we'll go to the next screen. And cranial trauma. So the knotted rope halters, ever since they became really popular, we're having more Cushing, more uveitis, more autoimmune, more allergies. And if you look up cranial sacral people, all of that is on the list when we have cranial trauma. With people, it's whiplash or falling off a horse or motorcycle without a helmet on. So this is Joe's head. And you'll see the imbalance of where, we're looking at it's on the right side, but it's his left eye seems a little bit pushed out and dropped, yet his left nostril looks a little bit higher. So he's had more than one head trauma. And we'll stop in just a minute to look at some of these questions that we're getting. Up on his forehead area, and you guys can all go look at your horses after this. These are the up-down chew muscles. This area should be flat. When the horse takes the cranial compression and that knotted rope halter slides up behind the occiput, it jams the bones down and forward. And if you've ever noticed when a horse can't get away, they just really lean to one side. They're just leaning, and you either have to cut the rope or something, because 25 years ago, we had the flat web halters with the cheap snaps, and the horse could break it and get away, so less damage was done to the horse. Now the knotted rope halters on a 3-month-old to 2-year-old, when the cranial bones are so soft, all they have to do is rear up and pull on the handler when they're 3 months old, and that's already doing cranial shifts. And what does that mean to you? Okay, so Joe would be heavier on left rein, and people are going to say, give to the bit, give to the bit. And as we pull on that rein, saying, give to the bit, we're destabilizing that jaw joint. Eventually, the up-down chew muscles here, they're chewing up-down instead of sideways because they can't. That's what's giving you the hooks and waves that needs the dental floating. So it's a lot better to just take the level 3 class that we teach, and we actually manually shift the cranial bones from this trauma. There's some nerve trauma down by his nose too. So on top of both first ribs out and psoas side joint, he actually has some cranial trauma. That's your horses that are spooking, head shy, don't like their head being touched. Lisa, can you do that skeleton with the lines?
Yes, let me stop this share and pull up another one.
Hi, buddy.
Okay, here we go. Can you see it?
Yeah, so can everybody see this? And does anybody want to ask any questions about this right now?
We did have a question a little bit earlier about hooves, if you want to take that question.
I don't see it.
It's in the
This
chat.
is a farrier not trimming the angle properly. Hi, Leah. No, it's how the horse stands on the body. So if you stood, just on your right foot and kind of leaning over all the time, where there's pressure, the horse is not going to grow hoof, and the hoof is going to grow where there isn't pressure. So like I was saying, your farrier can cut and trim the hoof to make it look nice, but 6 to 8 weeks later, you're still going to see that hoof imbalance again, because it's how the horse is standing on the hoof 24 hours a day and how they're breaking over on the hoof. Does that answer the question? Hopefully. If not, we'll get to it at the end. So this was a skull of a horse that always spooked on the right, really big spooks. This is the occiput bone right here, up between the ears. Oops.
You might need to turn the annotation back on.
Ah, okay. Well, there's the, this is between the horse's ears. Okay. This is what the back of the halter catches on and shoves down and forward. And this horse leaned really hard to the right when he did this cranial trauma. So he would have been heavier on right rein and he would have been spooking on the right. So when your horses are spooking, pay attention to if it's only on one side, like, oh yeah, it's always when we leave the barn, but never when we come back. But just pay attention to, is it because the garbage can's on the right, you know, and it's on the left when he comes back. The picture got real big and I can't bring it down. I don't know how to.
Give me a second. Let me see if I can zoom out. Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on this horse over here, this cheekbone, oops, it moved. Can you erase those for me? Lisa's amazing. So on here, this cheekbone is actually dropped. And I have a picture of, you can measure your horse's head, put a tape measure directly in the middle of the pole and come down the side to each first wrinkle there where you would put the bit, and see if one side is a ½ inch to an inch longer. If you can actually drop the bit on that side, the resistance will go away in the horse instead of keep saying give to the bit, give to the bit. And then my level 3 cranial decompression, we actually move all those bones back up. We move the eye, we move the nasal bone. There's 26 different bones. It's not just a big bone in the horse's head. And they all come together with sutures. It's like a jigsaw piece puzzle. So when they take the compression, they jam and then they calcify. And we actually break all that up and manually move it back up. Did we have one more picture of Joe? Or are we done with Joe?
Let me take a look, but we have a question in the chat that I think would be good to answer now while I pull that up.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go live to Joe, so we're gonna see it on the horse so that you guys can say, oh yeah, I do see that. So it's not conformation. Conformation is what the horse is born with. Posture is what you get when muscles are pulling you tight, when you slump over at the desk on the computer. That's your posture. That's not your conformation. So when the horse has both first ribs misaligned and we lunge them and we ask them to do work and they're heavy on the forend, they're overusing the rhomboid and trapezius muscles to pick up the shoulder, and that's going to shorten the neck and give you a U-necked horse. The compensation of asking a heavy front end horse with the bit to come back to the hind end over tightens the psoas right where the saddle ends, and the other end of the psoas attaches inside the hocks. So then your hocks start becoming closer and closer together. And if your hooves are not under your shoulder and your rear hooves are not under the hips, then you're going to have those medial-lateral flares and imbalance in the hooves. Did I get all the questions? Yes, the rope halters do a lot more damage because it's cliff climbing rope. It slides up into a tighter groove. It does more damage to the nuchal ligament. When a young horse pulls back and struggles, there's scar tissue adhesions at the pole on the back of the occiput. So that horse can never really fully get on the bit. Where the atlas axis and C1 and C2 break, they start breaking in a false frame out of like C3, farther down in the neck. So that's your heavy argumentative horses. Their jaws locked up and dropped on one side and they can't bend at the pole, and using running martingales or bigger bits to get them into frame is just detrimental to the horse. So if you do my course, we're actually fixing all of this. Level 1's about the skeleton, level 2's about the fascia and the organs, and level 3's about the crooked heads. Any other? Okay. And everyone's like, how did my horse get like this? You don't know. You know, I bred a horse for halter and sport, and he was 6 weeks old, and we found him on the other side of a 4-foot no-climb fence with his whole face split open. He ran into the fence and bounced up and over. So, you know, foals go to sleep under a fence, I mean, next to a fence, and wake up under a fence. And that's you having like a baby that got out the crib and kind of twisted its way through the bars till it fell on the floor. So now we're going to spotlight Marilyn, and we're going to see all these issues on Joe. so that when you guys walk up to horses, and that's my fourth book, what I see when I see a horse. I look at the head, I can say, wow, he probably spooks on the right. You've got the weepy eye. That eye that's dropped as well is also the one that's always running. It's usually the one that gets the uveitis, which anything with an itis means inflammation. So with my cranial, we've actually had 5 horses that the vet said they must have misdiagnosed uveitis because it doesn't get better and that they didn't need to remove the eye anymore. And we were like, yes. So if we can show Joe up close with his head now. Hi, Joe. You're our star of the show. So she's going to move the forelock up a little bit and you'll see that his forehead muscles. I know, baby, I know. So this is not training and behavioral. This is him saying that he has a really bad headache every day. Those muscles right there on his forehead are up down chew muscles. And what that means to the owner is power tools every year. Okay, he shouldn't be chewing up down. These muscles should be flat. If you look at the masseter muscles right here in the TMJ, they'll start to hollow out. When I see big forehead muscles, you always see a hollow and a dip on the TMJ on the side. You want to see just where his jaw is, that's all dipping in. So just the hooks and waves every year means he's going to have digestion issues. If a horse cannot chew like this to break down their feed and they're chewing like this, okay, you're going to have mysterious colics, weird stuff looking in their poop. Okay. He says, all right, you can touch my head. I've had horses that were rearing, don't touch my head. And we spray this product called Dynamite Release. We just keep misting it over until I can do the head. And level 3, we have their head down in a mash as we move all these bones. And I've had owners just crying because the next day the horse's head is between their knees saying, stroke my ears, mom. And they're just in tears going, I didn't know. I just thought he was always going to be head shy. And we pulled this bone up and, spread all of these. We kind of reverse the process of what that knotted rope halter does, where it slides up behind the occiput and jams everything down and forward. It's a good halter, but any halter should always be on a slip tie or some kind of bungee with give. Those patient poles that some of the natural horsemanship trainers use, and they just tie it there and say they'll figure it out. I've had so many people say their horse was ruined after that. And Marilyn saved this horse, and now she's going to go take classes so she can fix all of this. So now we're going to go look at his chest muscles, knees, and down to his feet. Okay, so right there is perfect. His shoulder, see how he looks base narrow? Base narrow means where his shoulder is, the legs are closer together than where his shoulders are. So see how his feet are kind of going out, his hooves are going out a little bit. So level 2 class, that's a really tight, I don't know if I can't draw, but she has her hand right there, really tight pectoral and sternum muscles pulling those legs together. And so the knees and the fetlocks are going to have premature arthritis and side bone and ring bone. And when she takes level 2 class, we're going to check back in with her in about a month after the class. There'll be another 4-inch gap between the front legs because that's how wide his chest is. And when he's standing on those hooves correctly, then the hoof can start to grow down correctly. And if I was there working on the horse, I would follow that left front hoof all the way up because inside his left, that sternum pectoral is too tight. So his diaphragm and sternum is probably tweaked a little bit to the left. How is he when you girth him up, Marilyn?
Yeah, he's pretty good. But I think he's just learned that he has to live with it because before, if he did anything, he just got flogged.
Right.
So
So
he just
put the flat of your hand kind of on, do you know where the pectoral muscles are?
here and
Okay,
here.
it's almost like, boobs on a woman. So if you were flat on the one on your side, you're going to go between his front legs. Yeah. So that side, just stroking down to the girth area, No, just with that hand where it was. Yep. Just stroking down there. Yeah, that's the right side pectorals. Now, if you do the other side, you should feel a difference. It should be like a little tighter in there.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So we unwind that in level 2, and then the joints can start loading correctly. So my program's all, if we can catch this earlier on, we can have amazing horses to ride until they're 30. Do you remember that spot I showed you on the hind end to show where the psoas is in spasm on top of the hip?
Yep. He'll just stand.
We're going to jump back to his hind end. Wait for the camera.
I think this is where the bit of chipped bone is floating around. I was told.
Yeah.
But I think you were up here somewhere.
Yeah. So find that hip bone first, about 2 inches more forward. Your right hand's almost on it. Just go up
Yeah.
over that bone 1 inch. Okay. And then just push in. And if you can, yep, a little slower. I want the viewers just push down. Can the camera person come closer? Okay, when she pushes there, the whole psoas goes into spasm. So just push in deep and hold, no wiggle. Okay. So that spasm is there all the time. That's the psoas attachment. And the other end of where the saddle ends over ribs 17 and 18 coming in there, that's the lumbar kissing spine. But when this is over tight, your hocks are always going to be close together. So in our level 2 class, we unwind the whole hind end, and then you have like a 6 to 8 inch gap between your hocks. And then your hip, your hock, and your hoof are loading correctly in the hind end. So we're going to take a pause and look at questions. Any questions right now? Larger picture of the horse. Yeah, can we pull back and look at a whole picture of the horse? This is the one that I showed the arrows on previously. He looks a little bit downhill. He's heavy on the fore. He'd be heavier on, I think we said right rein. Which one did we say in that picture, Marilyn? Heavier on which rein?
The left.
Yeah, heavier on left rein.
But since I bought him, I just ride him bitless
Right.
because not like that.
What did the last equine dentist say about his teeth?
They're shocking.
Yeah.
She said he has
So people,
shocking.
I've had people say, just fix the body. I don't want you to fix the head. And I'm like, and your equine dental bill is how much a year? Okay, fix the head. After we do level 3 cranial decompression on them, the equine dentist comes out and says, oh, I only had to touch up one little tooth. You know, the horse is maintaining their own, balance by being able to chew sideways now, masticating their food. So before we switch to the next horse, does anybody have any questions about Joe?
I have a question.
Okay.
What do you think happened up here? How it comes down and then it just flattens out here, completely flat. When he puts his head down, his shoulders are actually higher than this wither area. Do you think he's done some damage there? It's like he's got no vertebrae, and then he comes up to the wither.
Well, part of that is the U neck. They call it EWE, U neck, because the rhomboid and trapezius muscles are lifting the shoulder. That's why
So
right before the shoulder, right under the mane, the muscle's thicker.
Yeah, it's huge. He's absolutely huge here.
Right. He's using those muscles to pick up and bring the shoulder through. So anytime you're overusing muscles, it's going to pull the bones closer. So when you're doing the horse yoga with the leg circles and you're doing the belly lifts and the midriffs, you're actually going to be coming and asking for the withers to lift as well. So the horses don't have a collarbone like we do. Their scapula's loose. So if they're tight and heavy on the front end, it's all muscular. If people can't afford my program, we start them with the horse yoga.
Right. So when I fix all of this stuff, this should fix up itself, should it?
Yeah. I mean, you can always take an x-ray to see if pizzas are fractured off, if he broke some going over backwards.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
I think that is going to be fixed when you take Marissa's 3 levels of classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be Zooming with you again about a month after that so we can see the new and updated Joe.
Yes.
Yes. Anything else, viewers, before we go on to the next horse? Okay, so they're labeled as problem horses. He's also standing over on the fore. You know, means the hoof is not under the shoulder. He's standing there and he's kind of leaning over. That's going to give you low heel and long toe usually. Okay, I didn't scroll up. Lisa, are there any questions that I might have missed?
Yes, we have one from Brenda. Are there exercises you need to do before working on the first rib?
In my program, we show that I start unwinding from the neck all the way back. So, and we do a deep myofascial release from C6 and C7 first, opening up the area. And first rib impingement on left side is causing the horses that roar because the laryngeal nerve runs in a different pattern on the left side of the horse than the right. So all the horses that roar need the tie back surgery. Cranial bones are dropped and compressed on the left, and first rib is out on the left. So we do some unwinding the first time because my horse yoga, your horse should be able to reach his stifle with his nose for a carrot. And if they can't, that's how much arthritis you have in the horse's neck. So after you do that first rib that's been out for the whole life of the horse, because the other body workers are missing it, then you can just go and release the first rib anytime you find it. I've done it in the middle of a 50-mile endurance ride when my horse started catching that hoof, when they're trotting along. So when your horses come in from the pasture and they've pulled a front shoe, that's one of the ways the first rib comes out. A foal running through mud bog and gopher holes or taking a tumble. An adult horse leaning really heavy over a solid board fence. Anything that pushes that leg down. And that's the foal that's always going to be putting one foot out in front. And that's what starts your high-low. So the first rib side is the side that's going to go back because the shoulder doesn't come through forward well. So if first rib's out on the right side, you're going to have high heel, and the compensating hoof is the left is always going to go forward, and that's going to be your low heel on the foals. Any other questions? My thing's not scrolling down.
Those are all the questions I see for now.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Marilyn. And I'm looking
Somebody
forward to
just asked
seeing. Sorry?
I'm sorry, somebody just asked one. Amanda said, what do you find is the root cause of a horse standing under like that? Her horse has the same problem with the U-neck, but she hates the leg circle and pulls the leg out all the time.
That's because, well, in our class, we release the elbows, but that's also sternum unwinding. So they really don't like that circles up and forward. It's really uncomfortable. The first rib is actually in the way. It's at the base of the neck here. So as you're trying to bring that leg forward, it kind of hits that first rib. It's not that it's painful to the horse. It's just that it doesn't allow the leg to come through forward. So when you're cantering on that lead and the horse doesn't really want to do it, it's almost like they're side stroke swimming because the leg can't come through forward. So contact us after the show. There's something new I added to the horse yoga when you're doing the leg circles to do that stroke like I had her doing down each side pectoral just to release all those muscles. But basically you need to release the elbow and the first rib, and then your horse would be a lot happier. And the standing over the forend is because they're trying to traction their lower back. And then what do? We cut off the toes. So the horse is leaning way far forward, trying to traction their back. And then we take off the toes, and then the front of their cannon bone up to their knee and all the way up to their shoulder over tightens, trying to hold that balance. So once we get our horses square, if my horse wasn't standing square out in the pasture, I would go fix it. If Tiki had one foot in front of the other and he's a half acre away, I would go fix it. Anytime your horse is not standing square, there's something above to work on. So you can see Joe has something in the hind end to work on, something in the front end to work on. When we have these horse clinics, all the horses that we had worked on would be standing square, tied to the trailers with their hooves under the shoulder, not behind the shoulder. And all the ones we hadn't worked on yet, you could just tell the difference in how they were standing. Anything else? So clubfoot is usually an alfalfa fed broodmare that's different than high-low. The high-low changes. And I've had a barefoot trimmer that took my class in Arizona. She said she'd had that mare all her life. She was 6 years old. It towed in. And after she did level 1, 2, and 3, the horse feet totally turned out. That whole front leg is only muscle and tendon and ligament. It's not attached by bone. So if your hooves aren't straight and the horse isn't standing square, we can do something about that. Anybody else before we switch to the next horse? Thank you, Marilyn, for rescuing Joe and who's taking you on this amazing journey to meet my Australia instructor, Marissa. You're going to love her. She's just all about, even the horse's tongue, when we release the highlight, goes under the whole belly and up to his tail. It's amazing how everything is so connected.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be chatting again soon. I'll be checking in with you after Marissa's class. When is that?
It's in April. Well, yeah, the end of April.
Yeah, so that'll be good. So we'll book like end of May.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we're going to jump over to Tessa in Michigan with 20-year-old rodeo mare that she goats and ties off of where they rope the goat.
All right, give me just a second. I'll ask to unmute her video and
So I'll
there we go.
I'll answer this question. Alfalfa-fed broodmare, the high calcium and protein, they have just found that there's more club-footed foals born to pure alfalfa-fed broodmares.
Okay, now let me spotlight her.
My chat's not going up, so I'm not seeing.
The alfalfa fed broodmare was the last question.
Good. So there's a lot of free videos. I think I have over 200 free helpful videos on my YouTube channel. There's even one on how to diagnose your own horse for first rib misalignment. Both sides starts kissing spine because the muscles have to overwork. So they pull the withers too close together and they pull the lumbar spine too close together. And all that is muscles. So instead of cutting it out in surgery, you need to find out why are the muscles overworking, shortening, and going into spasm. It's like you going and gardening all day and falling asleep in the recliner chair and you get up and you're stiff. Your muscles are short, lactic acid, and going into spasm. So this is Tessa. This is her rodeo mare. You want to tell us anything about her?
So she's about 20 years old. I goat tie off of her for high school rodeo. She's kind of just a giant goofball. She's not super coordinated, and her conformation isn't super great, but that's why we're here to hopefully change that. So, yeah.
Right. And you can see where the mane flips. So when your horse's mane flips all of a sudden, people are like, oh, it's supposed to be on this side. It's supposed to be on that side. It's actually right next to the nuchal ligament. The muscles are working harder on one side of the neck and they get bigger. So the hair follicles actually get pulled that way. So if you see it in the poll, you see it in the withers, you know you have something to work on. At least she has higher withers, but she's croup high. So that shows me when they have the croup high, the hips have been out for a while, and that's a calcification. People call it a hunter's bump. And when I was teaching in London, they say, oh, I have a hunter's bump. I have a jumping pony. I said, no, you have a horse whose hocks and stifles are going to be done here really soon. Can we go to the diagrams, Lisa, that we did with the arrows?
Yes, I'll pull them up now. Just give me just a moment. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, so I can't really see. Yeah, so there's the front hooves. You can see the angle that they're growing off, jamming on the inside. I need the other picture. Yeah, the front. There we go. So I did arrows where you can see where the whole fetlock and pastern is going out. And you can see that the heel bulb on the inside is crushed and straight. Where your coronary band is, your hairline, the whole hoof should grow down larger than the hairline. Okay, so that's going to make side bone, ring bone, arthritic fetlocks. We actually have, like I said, a sweat that we do to help break down the side bone, but you have to change how the horse is standing on the hoof. So she's been pulling with their front end and not pushing with the hind end. Just because the inside hoof wall, oh, I can do that draw thing again. Here we go. Okay, so what am I talking about? Inside hoof wall is jammed. This is almost straight up and down instead of being out and round. So this is jamming and loading, pushing this part of the hoof out. We forgot to pick up feet on Joe because I wanted to see if the frog was on center. So this would be like you trying to do an athletic sport with two clown shoes on because you're jamming and loading on the inside and she can't even break over on the toe correctly. So again, it's not how much the farrier can cut and trim, it's how the horse is standing on that hoof 24 hours a day. So with the right front, I would chase that up. That's this picture over here.
Hey, April, we
Okay.
have a quick request. Can you try and make the pin shape thicker? So when you click on the pencil again, it should give you a line width choice.
Technical stuff.
I know.
It disappeared, so I don't even know where to go get it now.
You don't see a toolbar?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just keep running with what we have and you and I can practice that next time.
Yeah. Okay. So uh, go back to the fronts. There we go. So up here, she's going to get a little bit of an art. Oh, you're moving stuff around.
Who,
Up here
me?
in the fetlock, she's going to get a little bit more of an arthritis. So when we do side bone and ring bone calcification sweats, I would also do the fetlock up here. But I would also chase that up into her chest and the muscles right behind her right leg elbow, girth, and sternum area. So now we can go to the rear ones and you can erase my lines. Nope, the rear fronts that we were just going back and forth on.
Okay, give me a second. So this should be the rear front on the right and the front on the left. Can you see both those pictures?
Yeah, you just need to make it a little smaller.
Smaller. Okay, give me one moment.
Because of the chat box, it's taking up my whole screen. There we go.
Okay.
So this is her front hooves from the rear. I can't see the hooves.
I'm not doing anything, so I'm not sure um, what's popping up for you. Can you see it now?
I can't, there we are. Now I can see the hooves.
Okay.
So I don't know how to make the pencil bigger anyway. This arrow pointing to the left, you'll see where her coronary hairline is. Oh, why are things moving?
It might be your computer. If you'd like to close the chat box, I can keep an eye on it for you.
But I still can't get over to the front hooves from the rear.
Let me try making it smaller for you.
Yeah, That's what I was asking for.
This better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So right here, right here, you'll see the imbalance and you'll actually see side bone growing. I'm sorry to whoever wanted bigger circles, but you will get this on a replay so you can put it on a TV screen if you want. This is all the side bone that she's starting because she's not loading the hooves correctly. You'll see that this fetlock's getting a little bit arthritic. It's bigger than this fetlock. Okay, but everything in the front hooves is coming from higher up, and it's just telling her body how she's going to land on that hoof. So that's what we need to go address. It's not a bad farrier or trimmer. Yes, there are bad ones out there, but that's not what's making these hoof issues in the side bone and ring bone. And what does that feel like? That kind of feels like an arthritic ankle or like rocks in your shoes when you're trying to be an athlete. So it's really important to do that. And those sweats are on my YouTube channel. If you look up Holistic Horseworks, I actually have categories in the list, and you can look up older horses, arthritic conditions, stuff like that. So the hairlines aren't balanced. So now we'll go to the next slide. Okay, and here's the hind. So her left hind, that's white. You can see the whole angle of that fetlock, how they're trying to cut that toe back, but she can't even break over on that hind correctly. That toe is just too long. So, and that's right there where the right hind is straight. Okay, and because the right hind is straight and loading correctly, that hoof looks more balanced. So again, I would chase this up in the groin. I'd align the pelvis and I'd find out what's going on in her left hind groin muscle that's pulling the hamstring and the hock in so that she's standing on that foot like that. Because how she stands on the foot is how the hoof is going to grow. And when we look at what it's doing to her ankle higher up on this picture from the rear, you know, she's getting an arthritic fetlock right there. So how can she have drive and push off this left hind leg? Everything's going to be going off the right hind leg. And you can see a little bit of imbalances over here on the right hind hoof. The compensation, she's actually landing on the outside of the right hoof. So that would mean the muscles on the outside of the hind end are a little bit tighter. She's jamming and loading there, compensating for the left hind. And then we have one of her body and her head, I think. Okay, so as soon as you see ewe neck and roachback, you know you have, and hunter's bump, you know you have work to do. If people don't know, as soon as I see the main flip, I know I have work to do up there. As soon as you see this dip before the withers, I know I have work to do here. Everyone's asking me, you know, where is first rib? Our checkpoint is right under there. I believe it's gallbladder 21. It means neck to shoulder connection. And when we push on it and the horse flinches, that's your indicator that first rib needs to be released. And that is not a free video on my YouTube channel. That's actually in my home study program that you can start right away, or you can come to a hands-on class. Up here, she shouldn't be looking butt high. This is a calcification on the croup starting hunter's bump because her hips are out. So even though she's standing kind of square, this area is going to be sore. She's not able to push and drive, like to jump out of a chute with both hind legs. She's using more her right because the left isn't breaking over. Okay, so when all of this muscling is over tight and working, remember she's a rodeo horse coming out, roping. All of this area is over tight and working. It's going to look like you don't have any withers. There should actually be like a 2-inch gap between the top of the scapula and the withers. And when we do the horse yoga and the leg circles and the drunken horse pose, that's part of what frees up this whole area. So this is not confirmation. I mean, yeah, it's not confirmation. It's posture from the front muscles overworking, the hind end not able to do its job, and standing on four hooves that are not in balance. What's our next slide, Lisa?
Okay, we do have a quick question that I think would be good to answer now before we go to the next slide.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so to understand, it is a misalignment that causes the posture of the horse to compensate, and this is visible to us by the angles of the hooves.
That's how I can get into. So if you're going to do equine body work and you tell people your horse is sore, your horse is crooked, whatever, people just kind of shut down. It's too much to own. The trainer's been telling them to, they don't want to canter to the right. It's a weakness. It's not a weakness. That shoulder can't move correctly. And when you keep forcing it, that right stifle's going to get sore. The inside left hock's going to get sore, trying to give you that right lead canter when the right shoulder can't move. So that compensation and the repetitive pattern is going to tighten things. And then when the horse is just standing there at rest and the hoof is moving or not moving, that's how your hoof is going to grow down. So even if the chiropractor comes and you think he did a really good job, that horse standing on 4 crooked feet, nothing is going to hold alignment. And the horse can't grow the balanced hoof until you do the bodywork program and release the first rib so that they're standing square out in front of them under the shoulder like they should be, and not like she's a little bit over the 4 again. If we draw a line from her shoulder to where her hoof should be, that's where her hoof should be. She's standing over the 4 to traction and stretch out this area of the lumbar spine. Did that answer the question? Since I can't read it.
I think it did.
Okay. Yeah. And first rib is out in every horse by 4 to 5 months of age. So it's not that we did anything wrong. We just didn't know. The vets say, oh, the hock's sore. Well, why is the hock sore? Why is, by the time your horse is bobbing its head, it's really 3-legged lame. And if you bow a tendon or suspensory, you need to see, why did you bow the tendon or suspensory? Did the horse hook a shoe on a fence, or was it a mysterious lameness? If it's a mysterious lameness and you bow a tendon or suspensory on the left front, it means that the right front couldn't do its job and the left front was working twice as hard. And the left front's probably the dropped heel with the 52 degrees, so that tendon and suspensory are stretched out anyway. So you give the horse all this stall rest and bute and ice and hand walking a schizo horse that doesn't want to be locked in a stall, and the injury comes back because nobody addressed why was it torn or strained in the first place. Left front can be right rear. They work a diagonal, and our Western medicine professionals are just not getting that. We forgot to go live on YouTube. Oh, well.
Let's make a note next time.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like Leah said yes, that answered her question.
I'm going to try it, see if it works.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to open my whole browser. Just since we're doing all this for free. Continue. Any more questions while we're just doing this?
For anyone who may not be super familiar with Zoom, if you look at the bottom of the Zoom window, there's a toolbar. You should see a little like message bubble icon that says chat, and there may also be a Q&A box, and you are welcome to leave your questions and comments in either of those places, and we will periodically get to them.
It's not enabled for live streaming. Oh, well.
We might need to go change a setting in your YouTube channel to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so while I'm playing around with this, you can go to, I think we have a headshot.
Yes. And I'll erase that for you as well.
So again, we're going to be looking at the lines on the horse's head. Can everybody see the difference in her eyes? She would be heavier on right rein. The nostrils seem pretty good. Any questions about the balance of her head? Vision would be compressed in right eye. The right eye would probably be the weepy eye that always has that little bit of drainage right here. So when the eyes drop, there's 26 different bones in the head. The lacrimal bone holding the orbit of the eye is actually shifted and it compresses a nerve. So when the vet's trying to go up the nostril to clean all that out, a lot of times they can't because this has just really been shifted. And the uveitis is always on the eye that's been shifted. So what happens is we have a product that we use called dynamite release spray when we do the cranial work and the body work. And if you put it all over the horse's head, then if you put a hand over each eye, her right eye, you would just feel heat and throbbing coming out. And that's there all the time. When we work a horse and they're hot and sweaty and the eye throbs, then they're dropping and rubbing it on their foreleg. So usually it'll be on that same side. So we'll ask Tessa if she drops and rubs her head on her right foreleg. But the issue is, so the eye's throbbing and then they're always rubbing it in the fly mask and out in the pasture. Where's the fly spray and the chemicals, in summertime on their face and on their legs? So they're putting that in that eye that's already throbbing. Then you're going to get inflammation with the chemicals and the horse always banging its eyes. So, the professionals give us steroids for the eye to take down the inflammation when it's actually longevity of the horse, better to do the cranial and bring the lacrimal bone back up and blood and oxygen to the eye and releasing the nerve. And then that eye stops draining all the time. Raise your hand or put a message in the chat box if you have a horse that always has one weepy eye. Someone said, can I change my pen color? By next time. This is our first show, and I'm not the technical person. I'm the right brain, intuitive person. I can tell you if your horse has, health issues and all that kind of stuff. What else do we have? Where do you start when they have multiple issues? We always start with level 1. Because that helps release atlas axis, first ribs, withers, pelvis. You have to get the horse standing square on the hooves, and then the hooves start to grow down. And the farriers and trimmers say within 4 to 6 weeks, what did you do differently? I can finally shape and trim this hoof like I want to. Or when the horse keeps pulling a front shoe with a hind, it's because the first rib is misaligned on that side. So don't be trying to roll the toe to break over faster or slow down the hind. I used to do 50-mile endurance rides and the farriers would, oh, my horse is tripping or he keeps catching that front shoe. Well, let's slow down the rear. No, let's free up the front end so it can get up and out of the way. I took all these classes because I got tired of paying body workers. Let's see, you worked on my horse, you did better for a little while, and it came back, and you just give me this paper with all this stuff I can't read. And I ask you, what is my homework so that I can make my horse be better? Oh, I don't know. See you next month. Thank you. I really want to know how to help my horse. So that's what I teach. And after $19,000 in different classes, I kept saying, well, you're missing the hoof and you're missing this and you're missing that. So we're going to have, before I forget, Tessa pick up the bottom of the hoof so we can look at the frog alignment. And is there any, I use fly predators to get the fly larva instead of anything chemical. Okay. Horse yoga stretches. So Holistic Horseworks is my YouTube channel. Like I said, I have over 200 free helpful videos on there. You actually have to buy the program to learn how to do the first rib, but I have stuff about working on the hind end and the tight front end and some stuff. But again, it's kind of like the Beamer and PEMF and everything. You're still just working on a symptom. until you release the trauma from the pullback when tied and the first rib. And you're going to have to be releasing first rib every week, which is why you need to learn it, not be paying someone else to do it. Because anytime they're running out in pasture, all the muscles in that area have been that way for years. So that first rib's going to tweak again so easy. You have to keep checking that every week, and the horse just starts standing square and doing the yoga. And I have 100-mile endurance riders that are top FEI and barrel racers setting records. And there's a little 13-year-old girl who's winning everything on her little 14-year-old gelding here on Maui. And I work on them like once every 4 to 6 weeks. So is there any questions I need to catch on here, Lisa? WPI.
Somebody did ask when to do the horse yoga, how often, and should I warm her up with a light lounge first?
I always say do the yoga first because you're going to find where the issues are. If you're doing, this circle on this side down a drunken horse pose and it goes really good and the left shoulder doesn't, you have a glitch there. If you warm them up first, they're going to warm up out of the glitch and you're not going to find it. So if left shoulder's tighter and you do a 50-mile endurance ride, you're going to probably get wind puffs on the right rear because the right rear is going to compensate for the left front. And we're also going to ask Tessa to put the camera like she's kissing the horse on the nose so you guys can see how to go diagnose your own horses.
Would you like me to exit the presentation and spotlight her horse? Okay.
Yep. Tessa, you ready to kiss your horse on the nose? So if you guys go out there and look like you're going to kiss your horse right on the nose and you look up their eyes, you'll see the imbalances, how one seems more pushed out and prominent. So I tell people, go kiss your horse on the nose and look at that head. And Tessa, can you run your hand up her forehead like this? Up between the ears? You can pull back with the camera now. Okay, so bring her nose down just a little. So your occiput up there should feel like little goat horns trying to grow out, right? In between her ears. Does one side feel higher than the other?
Right.
The right side.
Yeah. So that's the bone that the halter catches on where her hand is. You guys can go feel that. So when the horse's nose is down, you put your hand straight up and you feel under the forelock. If you can't find the bones, that's how much trauma has been done to the horse. But there should feel like 2 knobby goat horns, right? Trying to grow up out. And if you turn sideways, that's where the halter catches and grabs that bone and pushes it down and forward. So she's older. You can see the TMJ area, masseter muscles are atrophied and hollow. And you can see her forehead muscles a little bit more developed. So she's chewing up and down. What does your equine dentist say when you come out? Some hooks and waves to address?
She usually does have some hooks.
Yeah. So the problem with that and the power tools is most equine professionals don't have $20,000 worth of schooling that equine dentists do. And I followed an equine dentist around and he had this huge book. Each tooth meant something different. If this tooth was bad, it was a lameness in the hind end. And Lisa, can you see what Brenda wanted? I see a raised hand view.
That was when you asked people to raise their hand about if their horse had a weepy eye, and quite a few people have experienced it.
Yeah. So the weepy eye is the one that may lead to the uveitis just because it's always throbbing and the horse is rubbing and banging it on stuff. So they're making it different. And then unfortunately the steroids are in a pointy metal tube as the owner's trying to get it in the eye. And I'm just like always, just come up backwards like that, close the eye, open your hand and just open it and put it there. When the horse sees it's coming, you're fighting with it. So we did more damage with the pointy metal tube than the horse originally had. But I still say fix the head. That's my level 3. I do have a $70 video on my website, horses with headaches, equine, cranial, sacral, so you can at least get started with the level 1 cranial about every 4 or 5 days. And the bond that you get with your horse when you start doing this work, they just start looking at you like your hands are magic. And my third book that I have 4 books on Amazon, If I Can Do It, You Can Too, is about that, doubt, that little fucker on your shoulder, the movie, The Fuckers. I tell people, knock off the doubt. And everyone's like, I can't do it. I'm not sensitive enough. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's just like an essential oil. The worst thing you can do is not take the cap off. The worst thing you can do is not get out in the barn and try. We're all energy beings. Your hands have energy. Oh, good girl. Yeah, nice big yawn. So, the weepy eyes, it's not a steroid thing. You actually need to shift that cranial bone back, and the release spray is safe to get in the eyes. So, if you have that weepy eye, just keep putting it around and in that eye. And if you start doing my cranial, you'll notice that eye won't be draining as much. I don't like the fly predators just because it's a lot of money. If you really want a cheap way to get rid of flies, go get the food grade diatomaceous earth, sprinkle it on everything like powdered sugar. Don't totally cover it. Do it, the urine piles, the poop piles in the wheelbarrow, layer it as you're cleaning stalls. If the neighbors have a lot of flies, put fresh poop in a wheelbarrow sprinkled with that. As soon as the flies land on it and walk through it, it cuts open the exoskeleton and they die. So it's great to layer in your manure piles so you don't get fly larvae hatching. You can't have diatomaceous earth and predators at the same time, but I think a 50-pound bag of DE is $25 and fly predators are like $79 a month. Within 21 days, if you're doing that, you'll have hardly any flies on your horses, because I really don't like putting the chemicals on them as well to keep the flies off. So lost the video.
I
And
think
I
that's
see the
the,
video fine. It didn't come back. No problem.
I'm just helping do a little technical troubleshooting in the chat.
Okay. Does anybody want to see this horse like standing back, or her front hooves, or kind of pull back? Yeah, let's look at the front legs from the chest going down. Okay, so she's a little base narrow as well. The knees and the fetlocks are a little bit too close. They should be about 2 inches wider. And that's in our level 2 class. So then she wouldn't be jamming and loading that inside heel, pushing to the outside. So there's a lot we can do for this horse. Everyone's like, it's 20, it's been this way all its life. I'm like, yeah. and you're saying what? We can always make it better than it is now. Do you have any questions, Tessa? Tessa, do you remember when I showed you on top of the hip to show us how sore the lower back area is?
Yes.
Tessa, you jump off on the left for the goat, right?
Yes.
Do you mount with a saddle or do you mount from a mounting block?
I do both, but mainly from a saddle.
Yeah, so that can be a lot of that left hind turning out because she's really having to brace on the left side. So she's just going to find the hip bone and just go up an inch and just curl her fingers and push down. And you see the whole, the psoas area, the lumbar go into spasm. That muscle spasm is there 24 hours a day. That's why your pelvis won't hold in alignment when the chiropractor comes. So my horse yoga incorporates tail pull. Have you done that before, Tessa?
I have, yeah.
So do you want to show a tail pull? The tail pull tractions the lumbar spine area. So it's like an inversion table for horses. It has to be the same angle coming off the croup. You wrap it around your hand so that you don't have to grip with your fingers. And then you want to get a little bit lower, Tessa, so you're that same angle coming off the croup. Good. And then when the horse pulls on you, you're just leaning there with all your weight. And you want to do that for a minimum of 2 minutes. We can't do a lot of work in the lumbar area and the psoas because you're right over the kidneys, but you can traction it. Your kissing spine is in the lumbar area. So yeah, swing a little left and right so that she squares up in the hind legs. There you go. Now pull. You want the hocks and the hooves open so the horse is digging in with the hind toes, learning to drive and push again and really push from the hind end. Right now, this mare, when she takes off to go run, she's pulling with the front end. And we have belly lifts and butt tucks, everything to help the muscles release every day so that you can start holding your perfect alignment. It's kind of like when people go to the chiropractor and you wonder why it doesn't last very long because you got out of the office, you jumped in the car, your right leg first, then you're doing your gas and brake and everything, and you're retightening that whole right psoas muscle. And for people that have the big pickup trucks and you're hiking your hip up, I tell people get in the car like you're wearing a mini skirt, sit down like a lady and pivot both legs together. Don't do one and then the other. And the same thing with getting out. Our crookedness makes the horses crooked. So if our psoas and hip is tight and pulled up, you're going to do the same thing on the horse. So you got to work on horse and rider together. And then Tessa, can you show the front hoof where we talked about the frogs off center?
Yes.
Yeah, diatomaceous earth is amazing. It's out there for my chickens. So do you have that stick or straight? So when you guys are looking at your hoof and you clean it out, you put something down the middle. You'll see how she's jamming and loading on that inside and it's flaring to the outside now. There's more outside hoof. And she's also going to show you the white line separation. You don't want that big, deep groove. If you really want to go barefoot, so you'll learn about, I have a hoof soak recipe that kills the white line fungus and tightens that hoof wall so you can get the concavity to the hoof. You can get a really nice frog. That separation can be like a sliver in your hoof. If you have a competition horse and you have that separation, you don't have all the drive and push off of that front foot, and that's all of your turning. And you can see the bars on the heel on the outside is way pushed forward. Okay, compared to the inside heel. So you're never going to really have a true equine athlete on those hooves. So you got to work on the body so it's standing correctly on the hoof. The hooves are going down. Then we have my hoof soak recipe, which is really easy. You can, it's in my Horse 102 book, Holistic Alternatives. You'll throw away everything that's in your medicine chest once you learn what I doctor horses with that are spurting blood or colicking. But the hoof soak recipe, you just put them in that solution in UC Davis soaker boots and groom them or something. And in 3 days, you have totally different hooves and they're walking totally different. Thank you, Tessa. Do you want to do the other front hoof too? Do you mind? So if anybody knows about equine acupressure meridians, heart, lung, large intestine, small intestine, triple heater, pericardium, all of those are in the front hooves. See, that one's a little better, but not great. Not as good as it's going to be in 60 days, right?
Right.
You can see where the hoof wall's kind of crumbling away because of the white line separation. So I had a client that we got her endurance horse doing really well, and she was top 10ing and getting best condition horse, and people she bought him from said, wow, he's doing really good. What happened to his club foot? And she goes, oh, he didn't have a club foot. He just had high low, and April fixed that. And then she moved out of state for a couple of years and she came back. You can put the hoof down. And she wanted to do Tevis. And I picked up her horse's hooves. He'd been getting body work from someone else, but both frogs were totally off center. And she totally loves her horse and believed in me. And I was like, Tevis is a 100-mile race where you're doing 16,000 feet of downhill trotting in canyons on hard surfaces. I said, if you listen to me, you're not doing Tevis on this horse in 2 months. You need to wait till next year. We had to get his whole body back in line and his frog centered in that hoof and that whole hoof like that before he's going to go do 16,000 feet of downhill trotting. It's 100 miles in one day through canyons and up over mountains and over rock and everything. It's a really hard race, and you do not want to enter that if your horse isn't 100%. Any other questions right now? So if Tessa gets on the program, she should be able to compete on this horse for like another 5 years, even more better than she is, right?
Thank you on the program.
You know, the horses are sentient beings. They're like the dolphins. They take on our physical problems, our emotional problems. That's why they're good therapy horses. It's about time people realize that they're not training in behavioral issues. There's always a reason why the horse doesn't want the head collar on, doesn't want to be caught, is marish. You know, there's all these different reasons why they don't like to be touched. And my program is all, let's go find the reason. Anything else? Please put it in the chat or raise your hand if we missed you. Everyone that is on this is going to get the replay, and you'll see our special offer. I have 4 books on Amazon. They're real cute. They're just cute little coffee table books, you know, like that. Don't squat with your spurs on. Horse 101 is how the horses get crooked. Horse 102 is holistic alternatives for wounds and colic and everything. Third one is if I can do it, you can too, about getting rid of the doubt of we don't think we're good enough to be able to fix our own horses. And the fourth one is what I see when I see a horse. It teaches you all of this and what it means in the horse's body. And they're just cute, fun, short little books. Anybody else before we wrap all this up? Okay, so we're going to be doing this every month. If you want your horse featured, you know, let us know. We have that little sign up sheet. We're going to be doing horses around the world. April at HolisticHorseWorks.com is my email address. You can also book on Calendly 15-minute consultation calls with me. Home study programs, only $400. It comes with a free 8-page report on what's going on with your horse. And I even talk about stuff like viral and bacterial that nobody else talks about. We find EPM and Lyme and what the body needs to be able to address it better. All right, Lisa, your little spiel time.
Okay, thank you, April. Just let me get this set up here.
And thank you, everybody, for being here.
Okay, so as promised at the beginning of the webinar, we mentioned that we're going to be sharing some resources with you. If there's anything that April mentioned that I'm not about to go over, just feel free to email either her or me, and we will get that to you. I know some people asked about the horse yoga, any of the books that she mentioned as well. Our contact information is in, you all had a Zoom email to get here. Her email is in there and mine is as well. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today for Holistic Horseworks Live. Our next show is scheduled for Wednesday, March 4th at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you again there.
Lisa, you got the QR code thing?
They are all coming up shortly. I have the registration isn't ready yet, but when I get that set up, we'll be sending it out to everyone.
Awesome. So tell
Okay.
your friends to come join.
Okay, so first up, our free Horse 101 ebook. This book is packed with everything you wish you had known before you got your first horse, and plenty of aha moments for experienced horse owners. So you can scan the QR code on the screen to get it, or head to horseacademy101.com to get your free copy. We will be sending out an active link for this as well in the replay email. So everything I'm about to mention will be in that replay email. But if you get out your phones, we're getting ready to share a whole bunch of things that you can scan. A lot of you probably already have this, especially if you've been following us for a while, but I know there are likely some new people too. If you're new to Holistic Horseworks, you definitely want to start with this. Next, to get 24/7 horse care help right in your pocket, download the Holistic Horseworks Remedies app. It's available on both Google Play and the App Store. So you can scan this code to get it right now. There's a 2-hour free trial that you'll get. Like I said, the link will also be in the replay email, or you can just search Holistic Horseworks in your App Store and this will pop right up. So with this, you'll have access to comprehensive guides and solutions for a wide range of equine health challenges right there at the barn, on the trail, or wherever you need it most. And it features a symptom search. So if your horse is having an eye issue, just search for eye. And a whole bunch of helpful articles and videos will come up. I know April mentioned the dynamite release, that's in there as well. So definitely check out the app. We put a lot of work into this. It's got a lot of good stuff in there. Okay, here is April's latest book, What I See When I See a Horse. Want to learn how to read horses just like April and just like we saw in this webinar? Check out this #1 bestseller in horse care on Amazon. What I See When I See a Horse, a book about learning to see beyond the surface of a horse. This book will forever change how you perceive and care for horses. So this book is like chapter by chapter. When April looks at a horse she's never seen before, we're going to look at the head, we're going to look at the hooves. And she basically walks you through how to do this analysis. It's available on paperback and Kindle as well. This makes a really great gift for other horse owners.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Okay, and if you're ready to dive even deeper, we've got 2 paths for you. Holistic Horseworks online courses let you learn how to help your horse yourself at home, and they include bonus offers like a free equine distance reading and a 30-minute consultation with April Love, very much like what you saw here. So if you want to do this for you and your horse, definitely recommend enrolling in the home study because this part is included with all of the video that shows you how to do what she recommends. Or if you want the best holistic horse experience, join us at one of our hands-on clinics. We have clinics all over the world where you'll get real hands-on experience with real horses. There are clinics currently scheduled in Indiana, USA, and Victoria, Australia. And you can also apply to host one at your barn. If you have a nice little barn and you want to bring it to your community, you are welcome to apply. We're always looking for venue hosts. So you can find that at HolisticHorseWorks.com. There's the QR code if you'd like to scan it now. And again, we'll be sending out that link in the replay email. Okay, and so here's the last offer we have for you. It's our special offer for our webinar guests. As a thank you for joining us today, for the next 48 hours, you can get 30% off the Level 1 Equine Musculoskeletal Unwinding online course. So that includes the free distance reading and the consultation with April Love. So you can use this code LIVEFEB4, LIVEFEB, the number 4, at checkout. So scan the QR code if you just want to check this out and get it right now. It will also be in that replay email. And this offer will only be available for the next 48 hours. It will be available for 48 hours after I send out the replay email, so you guys actually have a little bit of a head start. So make sure you open that email. Okay, thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show, we hope to see you again for the next Holistic Horseworks Live on Wednesday, March 4th at 1 p.m. PT at 4 p.m. ET. Okay, bye. It was good seeing you all today.
Hi, everybody.